A man experienced intense discomfort in his rectum during a visit to the restroom, prompting him to contact a doctor late at night. In a quiet emergency room in southwest China, he entered, clutching his stomach and grimacing in agony, his complexion ashen. His name remains undisclosed, but his ordeal sheds light on how even the simplest daily activities can escalate into life-threatening emergencies. This story revolves around a man who discovered, the hard way, that seemingly harmless habits, such as browsing on a smartphone while seated on the toilet, can lead to severe, unexpected outcomes. For the sake of this account, we'll refer to him as Mr. Lee. Mr. Lee was an avid smartphone user, constantly glued to his device throughout his day, whether he was at work, at the gym, or even in the restroom. What he considered a harmless habit was, in fact, an increasingly common way for many people to pass the time, especially in solitude. Mr. Lee would often engage with social media, watch videos, or play games during his breaks. It was his way of staying entertained and connected while taking care of mundane tasks. However, little did Mr. Lee know, this routine was quietly setting the stage for a medical crisis that would take him by surprise. One evening, after dinner, Mr. Lee entered the restroom with his smartphone in hand. He intended to spend a leisurely half-hour immersed in his favorite apps, unwinding after a busy day. As he watched a video, time seemed to slip away unnoticed. However, he was unaware of the physical strain this seemingly innocent activity was placing on his body. Hours of sitting in one position, hunched over and engrossed in his screen, led to an unexpected consequence. The prolonged pressure on his rectum from sitting in the same position for too long was more than his body could bear. After some time, he stood up, only to be struck by a sudden, sharp pain in his rectum. Initially, Mr. Lee brushed it off, thinking it was a brief discomfort that would pass quickly. But as minutes turned into hours, the pain intensified. And to his alarm, he discovered a lump, about the size of a small ball, protruding from his rectum. Panic began to set in as the severity of his condition became clearer. The pain was unbearable, and the growth, which had formed quickly, left him feeling helpless and terrified. Realizing the gravity of the situation, Mr. Lee made the difficult decision to seek medical help. Despite the late hour, his actions serve as a stark reminder of how something as ordinary as using a smartphone during a restroom visit can have unintended, severe consequences. What seemed like a harmless habit had led to a painful and urgent medical emergency. This unfortunate event not only changed his perspective on his daily routines but also highlighted the importance of being mindful of how our seemingly harmless actions can have long-term effects on our health. Panic set in as Mr. Lee tried unsuccessfully to reposition the lump, but it remained stubbornly in place, and the pain became unbearable. Concerned, he realized the situation was far worse than he had imagined. His attempts to alleviate the discomfort only seemed to make things worse, and the growing sense of urgency forced him to take the next step, seeking medical help. The realization that this wasn't a fleeting issue but a serious health concern hit him hard, and he knew he could no longer ignore it. With the pain escalating, Mr. Lee found himself at the hospital in the early hours of the morning. After a series of examinations and tests, he received a startling diagnosis: rectal prolapse. This condition meant that a portion of his rectum had slipped from its usual position and was protruding externally. Rectal prolapse is relatively rare, and though it is more common in children and older adults, it is not often seen in someone of Mr. Lee's age and health. The severity of his condition, however, had escalated to such an extent that immediate surgical intervention was required. His experience was not just about the physical distress caused by the prolapse, but also the profound emotional and psychological toll it took on him. The implications of such a diagnosis went far beyond the physical discomfort. It affected his self-esteem and mental well-being, leaving him feeling embarrassed and helpless. Dr. Sudan, the gastrointestinal surgeon handling Mr. Lee's case, explained that rectal prolapse occurs when the lower part of the rectum slides through the anus, often due to a combination of weakened muscles and excessive strain. In Mr. Lee's case, a variety of factors had contributed to the severity of his condition. The prolonged periods he spent sitting on the toilet, particularly while using his smartphone, played a significant role. These extended bathroom visits encouraged chronic straining during bowel movements, which, over time, weakened his pelvic muscles. His habit of sitting for long periods, engrossed in his device, had unintentionally placed excessive pressure on his rectal area, further exacerbating the problem. This strain, combined with his history of other related health issues, created the perfect storm for the prolapse to occur. CT scans revealed that Mr. Lee's rectum had prolapsed to an alarming diameter of approximately 16 centimeters. Underscoring the gravity of the situation, Dr. Sudan noted that while rectal prolapse is more commonly observed in older adults or children, lifestyle factors, such as excessive sitting on the toilet, especially when combined with smartphone use, can exacerbate pre-existing conditions and lead to severe complications. As seen in Mr. Lee's case, the severity of the prolapse was a wake-up call not just for Mr. Lee but also for the medical community to consider the long-term consequences of habits many people overlook, such as spending excessive time on the toilet due to the distractions of modern technology. Fortunately, the corrective surgery that Mr. Lee underwent was successful. Though intricate, the surgical team carefully repositioned the prolapsed rectum and reinforced the weakened pelvic muscles. The operation restored much-needed normalcy to Mr. Lee's life, allowing him to resume his daily activities without the constant physical and emotional burden that had plagued him for so long. Though his recovery would take time, the surgery provided a sense of relief and renewed hope. However, this experience served as a stark reminder of the risks associated with seemingly harmless habits, emphasizing the importance of maintaining a balanced and healthy lifestyle. Mr. Lee's recovery was a slow and painful process, but as he lay in his hospital bed, he couldn't help but feel grateful to be alive. Reflecting on the events that led to his hospitalization, he couldn't believe how a simple habit had spiraled into something so severe. "I never imagined that simply using my phone in the bathroom could lead to such dire consequences," he remarked with a rueful tone. "I hope my experience can serve as an alert for others." His words reflected a deep sense of regret and disbelief at how something as innocuous as smartphone use had led to such a significant health crisis. Mr. Lee's ordeal is a cautionary tale, particularly relevant in today's world, where smartphones have become such an integral part of our daily lives. These devices often feel like extensions of our own bodies, making it all too easy to overlook the impact that our habits, especially those involving prolonged phone use, can have on our health. People spend hours a day glued to their devices, often without giving much thought to the physical toll it can take on their bodies. The convenience and entertainment smartphones provide can mask the negative consequences of excessive screen time, especially when it comes to sitting for prolonged periods. Spending excessive time seated on the toilet, especially while exerting pressure, can put a significant strain on the pelvic floor muscles, potentially leading to health issues like hemorrhoids, constipation, and, in severe cases, rectal prolapse. Unfortunately, the distraction provided by smartphones often exacerbates this issue, as people like Mr. Lee become engrossed in their devices. They lose track of time, unaware of the strain they're placing on their bodies. The more they sit, the more damage is done, making the seemingly harmless habit of smartphone use in the restroom a potential health risk. This realization has been a difficult but important lesson for Mr. Lee, and he hopes it serves as a wake-up call for others who may unknowingly be putting their health at risk. However, the dangers of excessive smartphone use extend far beyond the confines of the restroom. Among younger generations, there is a growing dependence on these devices, with many opting for screen time over essential activities like sleep, physical exercise, and face-to-face social interaction. The trend is becoming increasingly concerning, especially as more individuals rely on their smartphones for nearly every aspect of daily life. Even in environments such as gyms, spaces once solely dedicated to physical activity and health, smartphones are now a major source of distraction. Rather than focusing on their workouts and fitness goals, many people find themselves preoccupied with capturing the perfect selfie, scrolling through social media, or checking messages. This shift in priorities not only undermines the purpose of exercise but also detracts from the mental and emotional benefits that come from engaging in physical activity without external distractions. Similarly, in work environments, the negative impact of excessive smartphone use is undeniable. Productivity is often compromised when employees spend time scrolling through social media platforms, responding to non-urgent messages, or binge-watching videos during work hours. These distractions contribute to lower efficiency, missed deadlines, and heightened stress levels as people struggle to balance work responsibilities with the temptation to check their phones constantly. The cumulative effect of these behaviors can lead to burnout, a decline in job satisfaction, and a weakened sense of focus and motivation. Even in the private spaces where we once expected to find some solitude and respite, like the restroom, smartphones have begun to blur the lines between relaxation and distraction. As Mr. Lee's experience clearly demonstrates, smartphones can evolve from being simple tools for brief entertainment or communication to something much more insidious. They become part of a dangerous routine, one that, if left unchecked, could lead to serious health problems. The act of mindlessly scrolling through a phone while sitting for extended periods can result in poor posture, increased strain on muscles, and a sedentary lifestyle, all of which can have lasting effects on physical well-being. Mr. Lee's situation serves as a stark reminder that what may seem like a harmless habit in the present could eventually lead to significant consequences for our health in the future. It's essential to reconsider how we engage with technology and, more importantly, where and when we choose to use it. In private spaces like the restroom, we should take a moment to reflect on our habits and recognize the importance of prioritizing our health over the temporary distractions that smartphones provide. Our physical and mental well-being is far more valuable than any momentary diversion that a smartphone may offer. By making conscious decisions to limit our dependence on technology in certain spaces, we can foster healthier habits that serve us better in the long run. Mr. Lee's ordeal stands as a stark reminder that even the most mundane activities, when coupled with modern technology, can lead to unexpected and severe consequences. In our tech-saturated world, it is more important than ever to strike a balance between the convenience of our devices and the preservation of our health. As Mr. Lee himself wisely advised, we should not wait for a wake-up call before making better choices regarding our well-being. His experience is not just a personal wake-up call, but a cautionary tale for anyone who habitually brings their smartphone into the bathroom or indulges in excessive screen time while engaged in daily activities. This narrative underscores the need for mindfulness, moderation, and, above all, the prioritization of our health above the constant allure of digital distractions. Whether it's spending too much time on the toilet, neglecting physical exercise, or allowing our smartphones to dominate our focus, these habits pose risks that may not be immediately apparent. As Mr. Lee discovered the hard way, the consequences of such behavior can be far more dangerous than they first appear. This story is not just a reminder to take care of our bodies, but a call to be aware of the choices we make and how they affect our overall well-being. By taking proactive steps today, we can avoid similar health crises and ensure that our habits serve us, rather than harm us. After watching the story above, do you have any thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. If you enjoyed our video, please like, subscribe, and share our channel. That's all about today's stories. See you next time.